A man in a wheelchair accused of running from a crime. A dad held at gunpoint for leaving Costco. 5 officers who targeted the wrong person, and every one of them paid for it. In March 2025 in College Park, Georgia, Charles Redd, a man who had used a wheelchair for 25 years, was accused by police of kicking in a door and then fleeing the scene on foot. Read that again, on foot, from a man who cannot stand. When officers moved to handcuff him, Redd couldn't believe what was happening.
Is this a joke?
It wasn't. As they pulled his arms back, Reed lost his balance and fell out of his own wheelchair onto the floor.
I literally can't. I don't have muscle control. I'm not. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh.
Even watching a man fall to the ground because he physically cannot control his legs, the officer refused to back down.
And even so, you're in a wheelchair, that doesn't conclusively prove that you can't force entry into a home.
That doesn't conclusively prove it. A man who has not walked in a quarter century, and the officer's position was that maybe he kicked in a door and ran off anyway. The charges against Reed were dropped, and Officer Markinley Ballot resigned. In lieu of being fired, that officer talked himself out of a job. This next deputy did it because he couldn't stand being filmed. In February 2024, in Adams County, Colorado, Barry Zatkulik pulled out his phone to record a deputy, Walter Berlinski, who had been speeding down the highway with no lights and no siren. He wanted the badge number so he could file a complaint. The deputy noticed the camera right away.
He's videotaping us. I'll be in contact.
Recording the police in public is legal. Zatkulik knew that, and he wasn't backing down.
If you're gonna start, you get your sergeant over here.
The deputy's answer was to invent a charge on the spot.
Okay, then I will arrest you for obstruction.
You do that, buddy, and I'll sue the out of Adams County.
And Zatkulik called the ending before it happened. Because when a supervisor arrived and heard what this was actually about, the whole thing came apart fast.
It will be handled. I'm sorry, I will apologize for the sheriff's office.
Adams County later paid Zatkulik $80,000 for that arrest. That deputy's ego cost 80 grand. This next stop nearly cost a father his life. On January 19, 2024, Derek House was driving home from Costco in Woodridge, Illinois, when officers hunting a shooting suspect boxed him in at gunpoint. Wrong make, wrong color, wrong plate, none of it slowed them down. Before they checked a single fact, they threatened to kill him.
Real slow. Everything real slow. I'm gonna shoot you in your head if you come up with anything other than that.
I don't have any weapons. I just came from Costco, dude.
It was only after they had him cuffed that someone finally read the plate.
That's not the right car. This is the wrong car. Yeah, this is the wrong car.
We're all good.
This is the wrong car.
The wrong car. And then, on a hot mic, the admission that sent this footage everywhere.
We thought you were the guy. No. All right? You're not. I understand that. All right? Hey, listen, look at me. I this up.
In January 2025, House filed a lawsuit against the village of Woodridge and 5 named officers for false arrest and racial profiling. As of now, no discipline against any of them has been publicly confirmed. That officer at least owned it out loud. This next one only showed his real face when he thought the cameras were off. On June 9, 2021, a First Amendment auditor named Sean Paul Reyes was recording inside a public library in Danbury, Connecticut, something he had every legal right to do. Officers arrived to move him along, and when he wouldn't be intimidated, one of them, Officer Ken Utter, started leaning on him.
This is not gonna end well with you, you know that. No. We're in charge here, okay?
Yeah, you're gonna tell me to leave.
We're in charge here. When that didn't work, and the officer thought the moment had passed, he said something into his still rolling body cam that he clearly never meant to be heard.
I'm telling you right now, fucking 5 years ago with this shit, he would have been on the fucking ground. 15, 20 years ago, that motherfucker would be dead.
Dead. Not a threat shouted in someone's face. A quiet aside, caught by the camera on his own chest, showing exactly how he wished he could handle a man holding a phone. For those recorded remarks, Officer Utter was suspended for 8 days. A second officer at the scene was suspended for 3. That was ugly to hear. This last one is hard to watch, but it ends with the rarest thing in any of these videos: another cop doing the right thing. On July 26, 2021, officers in Orangeburg, South Carolina responded to a call and encountered Clarence Gaillard, a 58-year-old disabled man who was doing exactly what he was told. It didn't matter. Officer David Lance Dukes started screaming.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground right here! Get on the ground! You! Burgundy shirt! Get on the ground! Over here! On the ground! On the ground! Get on the ground! Do you not listen? Get on the ground!
Seconds after those commands, with Gaillard compliant and no threat to anyone, Dukes stomped down on his head. Gaillard would describe it plainly.
Listen.
Yep, they slammed my head down on the cement.
Then Dukes did what corrupt officers do when they think no one can prove otherwise. He lied about it to his own colleagues.
He got like this right here, and we went onto the ground.
That is not what happened, and the body cam proves it. Later, when Gaillard's side tried to get the officer's information to file a complaint, Dukes lied again.
I don't have one there. We don't have one. They don't give us cards.
Hold on, we have cards.
Hold on, we have cards. That was Sergeant Aquel Polidor, a fellow officer, refusing to let the lie stand and stepping in to help the man Dukes had just assaulted. And Polidor didn't stop there. His official report stated that Dukes had jumped up and stomped Mr. Gaillard, flatly contradicting Dukes' own version. Because of that report and the footage, Officer David Lance Dukes was fired and charged with first-degree assault and battery, and Clarence Gaillard, the innocent, compliant, disabled man who was stomped on the ground, received a $650,000 settlement. It took a good cop to make the system work, but this time, it did. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Today we watched 5 people targeted for all the wrong reasons. A man in a wheelchair, a man with a camera, a father home from Costco, an auditor in a library, and a disabled man doing everything he was asked. Not one of them had done anything wrong, and every officer involved paid for it, with a resignation, a suspension, an $80,000 check, a lawsuit, or criminal charges. If one of these got to you, do us a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which one was the worst. And here's the honest question worth sitting with. How many of these would we never have known about if the cameras hadn't been rolling? Because if a good cop turning in a bad cop surprised you, wait until you see the officers who had to explain themselves to a judge, starting with the deputy who lied under oath and didn't realize the